It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man, Boom is Rusty, and it sure is. Don't you forget it. After 642 previous episodes, maybe you won't. Maybe you will. Does it really matter? I don't know. Thanks for being here on the Public Access Podcast on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. And it's time for me to bring on my special guest. And my special guest is right here and right now. And my special guest is Derek Crager. Derek, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Hey, Rusty, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I do find it a little odd that I do. It's like a second. How are you doing? I need to get a different, a different introduction there for that. I figured I'd think of one because I did already ask you that, but I figure people want to know that for some reason. But who knows? It's as free form as it gets, so it just sort of happens that way.
Well, freeform is good. I think it keeps everybody in the know.
Right. Okay. And so when we talked last was, I don't know, maybe a few days ago, which is nice. I don't have this big, long, drawn out way. Like I'll do your podcast in 4 months or something. Like booking every day out now is just like I can book it, and it's like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. Like you do it this week. And it's pretty nice. And if I don't have them, I just don't do them. It's I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. There gets to be points where it feels like it's a good time to do it, and then it's just like I don't want to do this right now. Do you ever get that with anything you do, whether it's your work or your not work or anything like that?
Well, sometimes I swear I just don't want to get out of bed. Just lay there, kick back, and watch some tunes or something. But yeah, I believe in the ebb and flow. I think the ebb and flow is what being human's all about. It's we acknowledge the slow time, and then we embrace the ride. It's kind of like a roller coaster. When we are really feeling it, we're really feeling it. We can really produce and create some creative things.
Yeah. What kinds of creative things do you like to make?
Well, for me, it's connecting the dots that other people don't see. It's seeing things that um, I've always been a Sherlock Holmes fan. It's like Sherlock always says to Watson, "Well, you saw it, Watson. You just did not observe it, right?" So
Right.
that's where I try to pick up. If I see two things that can be mutually compatible and beneficial, I really hesitate to take action unless there's a win-win scenario, and I try to find it as my art to look for that win-win-win scenario.
So okay. So what can you give me an example? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just curious as to like something that you've observed that would
Well,
other people may miss.
yeah, the thing I'm working on now is just having the right information at the right time. And growing up, I was always the odd duck. All of us isolated the way we are growing up. I found out that if I spent my time in the self help aisle, it taught me to learn techniques and shortcuts, and I guess some subroutines. To go to computer speak here. But nowadays, I'm looking at this new AI thing. Yeah, have you heard about it? This AI thing that's
I've
going around.
I've heard about it. It's I think it's maybe come up in conversation at time
Yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah. So I heard this thing, and it's a way for me, and this is what I've built. I built something that takes our knowledge that we need, but sometimes we have that lapse in judgment or just this let's face it, we call it a brain fart when we forget something. But I use AI in this professional assistant, so we can tap a button on our earbuds here and just say, "Hey, what was it I'm doing?" or "What's that next step?" And AI jumps in and it thinks with us, not for us. That's important here, but it thinks with us to help fill in the gaps, just like a true protege mentor relationship does.
So
A good good mentor doesn't offer answers as often as they ask the right questions so we can develop our own. So that's the connection I've made and I've been working on this past year.
So, okay, let me guess. Take a couple of guesses. So, as far as organizational skills before this, they were subpar before you started using this, or
Oh
were they
gosh,
always
yeah.
okay? So,
I've been looking for organization solutions for decades, true, and I've used maybe everyone, maybe not everyone that's out there, but everyone I've been aware of for sure.
and you were an ideas guy, but didn't have a way to implement these ideas until the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, I implemented different ideas as they came to me, but this current idea right now, the implementation really makes it accessible for everybody, and that's really the key point here. I think on the AI front, we're at this whole let's replace people. I think, that'd be great. Let's replace people, but can I still draw a paycheck type of thing? And I don't think that's the way the businesses are looking at it. But this crossroads that we're at, this fork in the road, we can either replace all the people that are out there, which is great for business for a year or two, and because it makes their bottom line look good because they save on but what happens 2 or 3 years down the road when they become stale because there's not the human factor there? You started, we started opening up here with the highs and the lows, the ebbs and the flows, and that's what humanity is. So I look at this thing called, I call it human first AI. Let's have AI amplify what's good in humans and be the safety net for those for our shortcomings, which is generally knowledge gaps.
So, what would be an example of that?
Well, it's let's say that I'm working on my car. I've got 10 steps to change the disc brakes out there, and I get into number three, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, it's what tool is that, and what's the torque setting at? Wait a minute, what's that next step? And I could stop, lay down everything, and go back to a manual and search, or I could call up, my buddy Will, and say, "Hey, you've done this before. Can you talk me through it?" And that's the human connection. But those human connections aren't always available, and we tend to not lean on the human connections every day because we know that that's they have lives too. So I take all the knowledge, just say I essentially download that knowledge into a box, and I tie AI to the front of it in this voice interface that allows people to be hands free and eyes free. So I can be out there working, and I can just tap that ear button on my earpiece, and in my ear I have a conversation, a human conversation, albeit it's a proxy with AI, but I still get that human conversation, the interaction that talks me through it. It's infinitely patient. It tells me a joke every now and then, and it keeps me in the right direction by asking me the questions. Hey, are you safe? Did you do that? Are you good? What's next? Did you understand that? Just like a great mentor would. And that's a scenario, for the everyday person, out there doing some work on their own. But it's if we magnify that out to the business sector, where businesses, they're looking to save money, so their balance sheets look better, but at the same time, if we can serve the human, because humans work not for the money. Statistics show that, surveys show that humans work to do things and to produce things and to be part of this world. So I feel this is the key that connects AI, businesses, workers across the world, so everybody benefits. And it's that true win-win-win scenario I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Side question: what do you have in those boxes behind you?
Well, we talked about organization, right?
Right.
So I'm completely disorganized, but in an organized manner. So in each one of those boxes is I guess you could call it a galaxy unto itself. It's just filled with its own topic, so to speak. So um, Sherlock Holmes, I'll go back to him, talks about the memory palace. And in every room in that memory palace is a different topic or a different memory. That's what I use those boxes behind me. I've got 48 of them. And they're about 12 by 14 by 10. And they're each filled with items that I can go in and I can still take advantage of that organized disorganization and
Yeah.
grab things. It still keeps me spontaneous, allows me to think, but it keeps me within guardrails. So it's the personification, I guess, of what I built in Pocket Mentor. It's let me ask those crazy questions and let me look and see everything, but keep me focused on what's at hand, the topic at hand. And that's exactly what those boxes do behind me, Rusty.
Right. Okay. And so do you have, for instance, you tap the ear, which I don't know if that just did something. Nope. That's just,
Still here,
uh,
still here.
okay, good. And there is, like, have you ever took inventory of it? Like, here's everything that's in box, the top one, top left one. Here's everything that's in the box, and then here's everything in box two. And then you just kind of still throw it in there, but you at least kind of, I mean, you probably have a good idea in your head which one. I had a setup kind of like that, but I could never remember which box was which. I knew what was in each box. I had everything sort of like in a box that was, it kind of made sense to go together, at least to me. But yeah, that would be something that I would probably do if I was using your product there. I would do something to that effect. But
Yeah, we always got to have something that works. You know, if I created an index, then my next question I'd ask myself is, where do I put that index to look at it? So when I have a matrix up here behind me, it's 6 by 8. I know it's 48, so I can just go column and row, and that allows me to dive into that answer much quicker than it would be if I had to start from scratch or ask my wife or you know my
right.
boss if I'm at work. It helps me be self sufficient, and that's what I do for employees at their jobs. I make the employees self sufficient so they can truly produce like they want to produce. It makes them irreplaceable instead of replaceable, and their managers and the bean counters at companies like that.
So where did the idea come from? Was your personal experience? And if you've talked about this before, I'm curious, but yeah, I know that's kind of a question you probably have gotten a fair amount of times, but I'm curious on this one.
Well, where does any thought come from? It's I think my brain, the gears just keep churning and churning and churning, and I so much value uniqueness and originality that I don't think I'm original at all. I think that what I do, I put pieces together that it just comes up with a new way of looking at something. So my history of spending time, growing up in that self help aisle, looking at books and cassettes and CDs and DVDs and audiobooks and every format that's out there. It got me through some cool things. And it was really looking back at all my success that I've had, lots of failures, looking over the failures, but looking at the success, what it had in common is that to have the right information at the right time allowed me to be successful in what I'm doing. And sometimes the difference between success and failure isn't the lack of knowing, it's the lack of knowing in the moment. Because everybody can, go back and research and figure out how to do something better. But in the moment when it counts, if we can take action and be successful right then, that's really what makes the world go around. That's looking back, through rose-colored glasses. That's the connection I make right there. Is how do I get that information to the right place at the right time and the right way? And that's why I came up and designed Pocket Mentor. I thought it'd be a cool name for it, Pocket Mentor, because it works through a phone. You don't need an app. You can use an app. You don't need an app. It's you can use a web page. It's no internet needed, no Wi-Fi needed. It's just that simple. Everybody in the world carries around a mobile phone. I look at it as being so simple to that it removes all the barriers, just like Google.com has long been just a box where you type in an idea and hit go. It removed all those barriers to, and that helped project and propel Google to be, one of the top companies in the world is through the simplicity. And for those of us that grew up in a disorganized life, simplicity matters. Simplicity allows us to take action when we, and that's what I did here. I have something available to everybody in the world that wants to use it.
Yeah. And so then are you, uh, is this going to specific people that would buy it, or is this going to companies and they are giving this to their employees? Like,
Well, we are looking at what can we give away, what topics, what can we just allow everybody access to, kind of like the free, dial a library or dial a storyline when kid.
yeah,
But the goal here, the primary focus is on the workplace because there again, I want that win-win-win scenario. I want companies to win because when companies win, that means they employ lots of people. And when employees are happy, employees stay with that company. And the longer that relationship can continue, it's just truly is a win-win for everybody. So that's what I do. That's my primary focus. We work with enterprise companies that are looking to make sure that they can truly empower their employees. And we're doing it in a way that we're not replacing humans. We believe very much in human first AI that puts the human first and not really. You've probably heard the phrase a human in the loop. Human in the loop just means like, hey, let's let AI do everything, but we'll have a human check on it from time to time. Kind of like you are baking a cake and you look in the oven every now and then. That's not really what we're doing here. We produced the world's first thinking AI, meaning it thinks with the human, not for the human. And moving forward, that's really key to humanity. Honestly, if you want to get very dramatic
yeah. So I have a friend. I've known him since we were 7 years old. My friend, Dr. Ian, and he's the same age as me, and like we both were we have all this stuff, but like we don't. But like, I mean, I don't know, just like being able to have the ability to just have these ideas, and now all of a sudden, like after trying to adapt to everybody else in their world, that we've had to do that our whole lives. But then now we have this other tool that basically does what they've been able to do easily, some of it. But now that we know how to talk to it, how to interact with it, how to understand it, how to make it, you know, work with us, like you're saying, has been, like there's not really anything you can't do anymore. Like you can kind of do anything or learn how to do anything. Just about, I'm not going to say every single thing, but pretty much anything you can learn how to do, or any idea you've had, you can take it to a way to make money in your pocket. And there's no reason not to.
here. Yeah, money, happiness, kinship, embracing that difference. I was 50 years old, Rusty, when I was diagnosed autistic, ADA, wow, ADHD, and dyslexic. I guess I'm compounding it here. But I was working in Amazon, the big Amazon company is delivering lots of presents right now around the world. But I was in training. I taught people, and they say that we really don't learn things unless it was a hard, like it was hard for us to accomplish something. So we learn, and it stays with us because it was so difficult for us. So I look at my past and all the difficulty, all the ups and downs that I had. And then while I was at Amazon, I was 6 months there when I was diagnosed with the autism, ADHD, and dyslexia. And I thought, you know what? After I cried, off and on for a couple of weeks, I embraced. I said, you know what? Now at least I know what box I'm in, what category, what label I can put on my forehead. I shared that with everybody in the group, and it turned out that it allowed me to be very much more empathetic. And I built that into the programs, the training programs that I had, and I ended up, the feather in my cap, corporate wise, is that I built Amazon's highest rated employee training program in their company history. And
Well,
it was amalgam of uh, my life leading up to that, and the keystone was embracing my differences. And so I came up with a term. I call it neuroagnostic. We hear neurodiversity, we hear neurotypical, but that's still a fence, a barrier between the two. When I built Pocket Mentor, it's built to align one on one with who we are. Just like a great mentor will talk to you in a one on one scenario, and they will build and conform their language to your personality, your mindset, your thinking patterns. That's what Pocket Mentor does. So I look at Pocket Mentor as being the solution, a way to use AI effectively that disintegrates all those labels. So we're all different anyway, whether we have a label above our head or not. We are all truly unique. And I've always believed the best way to connect with somebody is with them one on one. Doesn't matter a label, doesn't matter a diagnosis. And as long as we keep throwing labels around, then we're still throwing, you know, sparks up. We're causing friction. If there was no friction, there would be no sparks. So if we can just look and deal with everybody in the world, those of us, around us in our sphere, outside our sphere, as an individual, instead of a label or a group. If we really take the time and be patient to do that, I think that's a success. And again, perhaps I'm overly dramatic or emotional here, but I think that's part of that key to humanity is that we do treat everybody as individuals. And if we look back in the learning scenario, it used to be, we didn't spread knowledge. But once we started spreading knowledge, it was one size fits all, meaning, hey, I'm going to share it in my way and you're going to figure it out. And those that can learn, and those that don't, well, let them fall by the wayside. But today we're in a scenario where it's one size fits one, and technology allows us to scale this ability to teach people and have these conversations one on one, these human conversations. And that's what we've done here. We have these connections, true connections with humans that allows them to not fear asking the wrong question, and they can learn while they're working, and it makes them better people. It makes them better workers in the eyes of the bean counters, and for businesses, it's tremendous win for them because now they have everything they ever wanted, the perfect employee. And that's okay. It's not taking advantage of humans when that perfect employee is happy at what they're doing. And by having the right information and allow those humans to build, they are truly happy.
so then is this okay? The simplified version of this, how I'm understanding this. So if this was, Chat GPT or something, this would be you going and talking with an employer, finding out exactly what the needs were for their ideal position and the employee within that. And then um, basically coming up with a detailed prompt for that. And then uh, with all your information, and then just asking questions back and forth, getting it more dialed in? Or is that sort of how it would work? Or is that not anywhere? You don't need to tell me details or anything, but I'm just trying to get a general idea of what this is.
Well, your brain and your process, you are spot on. That's exactly what we're doing. Now, there's a difference between the consumer grade, Chat GPT and enterprise level. A lot of it has to do with safety and specifications and legalities and intellectual property. So when you have a Chat GPT, which we can talk to, and that's cool. I like that they added that. And there's really I think Hugging Face has over 1 million LLMs listed out there. So ChatGPT is just one of those. And we can talk to it. But the difference is with ChatGPT is that there's no box. It is actually answering from all the knowledge that humans have ever known. And so when you ask a question, it's going to give an answer that tries to please you. It's going to give you one of maybe 100 different potentially right answers, but maybe not right for that situation. And there's things called nuance, and nuance is important. So when we go to the enterprise level, we are actually moving up a couple things. We use multiple LLM layering, so we get rid of those extraneous hallucinations, and we put in a
Cool.
box, just like you described it, information about that job. Just like I have those boxes behind me that are subcategories of the universe, essentially. Every employee has responsibilities, and every company that's out there has different roles. So yeah, we do that. We describe a role, we put that in a box, and we allow this connection to stay in that framework of that specific knowledge that is approved by the humans involved in advance. It's the SOPs, it's the manuals, it's the mission and vision statements of the company, because depending on who you work for and what the mission is of that company, there might be two or three different ways of accomplishing a task. So you want to fit in, and you want to do it most popular because you want to serve the customer, and that customer could be the end user that's outside, or we like to say even within a company, every employee has a customer that might even be another employee, because you're doing work to hand off to them, they're doing work to hand off to somebody else. Eventually, it goes to the consumer level, service, but it's that compartmentalization and making sure that it is laid out in such a way, intelligent design, to throw in here, of that knowledge, so it facilitates that communication for the end result, whether it be changing the brakes on my car, whether it would be maybe getting a production line up at Ford. Ford CEO Jim, their CEO, keeps talking about this lack of humans doing this skilled trade work. I came up in skilled trades back in the day, so I've started out blue collar, worked my way up to engineer, and then human resources and talent development, which is fancy HR speak for training. And the thing is, on the specific side here in manufacturing, where they use skilled trades, there's not enough humans doing the work, which means that we need to replace all these people that are being retired out, because that knowledge is just exiting at record numbers. I think 11,000 subject matter experts a day are leaving the workforce in this regard. And if we can offer the new people coming in a way to be more self assured, that they can start and pick up these jobs and be better at it, be good at skilled trades, be good frontline workers and operations. And this manufacturing and industry is really our kernel that we're, I think marketing calls it, the point of the spear. That's our focus, is making sure that the people that need the knowledge have the knowledge so they can do the most good.
Okay. So let's say I am a worker, and so when I get on to the old Chat GPT, whichever name it is for whichever GPT I use, I like to add in there. So if I was saying, what are the bottlenecks right now with this production? What are ways that I can optimize this 58 million times 48,722 times? And how can we optimize all this and maximize everything on it to make this more beneficial for us? So if a worker said that, and then it started going and having better ideas than what the boss would have, would that be in the parameters of what it could learn, or would that have to be something that the boss would need to have in? Because I remember that from back when I was, had other jobs, and then I'd find a faster way to do something, and then it's like, hey, don't do that, don't do that, that's not good, that's messing everything up. Or working for the government and finding a faster way to do something. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's going to mess it up for everybody else. So if an employee were to say that, how far could he go, or would it get stopped? And it would be like, hey, let me stop you right here. You're only needing to do this much work for your job. Don't try to do more.
Well, if it's Chat GPT is going to support that conversation and just extrapolate out really infinitely, as long as the human wants to chat or talk to it. It's going to come up with some crazy solutions, and I say crazy only at the point of they could be easily be valid solutions, but it might not be valid for that specific role, that specific time. I worked at a place called Navistar, which we built the turbo diesel engines that went in the Ford pickup trucks. And the specifications for our engine, even though it's all mechanics, it's all engineering, certain combustion rates, etc. And you've got the basic structure, the block and the drive, the crankshaft, how the pistons move up and down, etc., etc. I might be able to get a generic answer from ChatGPT, but I couldn't get a specific answer for that because, maybe ChatGPT is picking up from hearsay, it's making things up, it might be picking things up from Cummins, which Cummins makes a fine diesel engine themselves. It could be any of these answers from ChatGPT in the generic, pardon me, is an answer that could be considered valid, but it's not specific enough to solve the problem in the right way at the right time. And when we're in a specific situation in industry, that could cause somebody to get hurt at the worst case scenario. And at the best case scenario, it's going to cause inconsistencies in the product. So yeah, it's possible to talk with ChatGPT about something like that, but when what we do at the enterprise level is well, talk to anybody in IT and corporate, all the barriers and the barricades and the isolation and the specifics. So in that scenario, yeah, an employee is there working, and our AI again thinks with the human, not for them. So it's not giving them the answers, and they're not drones. The human still retains all of their ability to be creative and insightful. And at some point, everything that the AI was taught was created by a human. So why not give the ability for this AI to expand and grow with that human? So now we're getting down to the processes that are implemented by the company and by OSHA if it's in a manufacturing state. We want the ability to record and test those new ideas, but we want it to do it in a sandbox. So we go through layers. So employee is on the floor and they have this great idea and they solve the problem and it keeps everything running and lives are saved and machine downtime is saved and they go back and they hang up their hat. They say, "Hey, I did good. I'm going to do it that way all the time." Sure, that's an opportunity for them, but what that does, that gets added to that database, but then it gets processed separately. So the humans can say, "Hey, here's a neat idea. Do we want to update our knowledge queue to include this in the future?" And now we go through risk management, which anybody in project management is that's a big consideration is risk management because nothing is 100%, nothing is 0%. What's the risk if we do it this new way? And is it safer? If it's safer and it saves money and it makes people happier, they're probably going to adopt it. But it just has to go through the process. It just does not arbitrarily, and no one would want it to be arbitrarily added to that database to be the new way of doing something until it's proven out beyond that one incident. So yeah, your idea is spectacular. It's on point. We just want to make sure and keep the safeguards in there. And that's the importance of thinking with the human instead of for the human. Is that they they don't take over the world. We're actually their interface to get to the world that the human.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so when that instance does happen where they have something they may want to update, does that become something where they, once they have it, they're kind of on their own and they get at you if they really need something? Or is it every time that needs to be updated, they come back to you to have you do it? Or like, I don't know, would they have enough? Because there's never really, it's always good to have someone else to bounce ideas off of for that kind of idea or that kind of work.
Yeah, well, it's let's take it one step at a time. Let's say it is Ford, and there's a manufacturing line in Detroit, and a worker comes up with a new way of doing something. So it's a new way. They document it, they validate it, and say, hey, you know, this is better. It's going to be safer for the workers, safer for operations. It's going to increase the speed of the production line. All these good things. Now that it's there and they validate it, they can replicate it and propagate it out, to use a lot of multi-syllabic words here, across the entire world for every Ford manufacturing facility. So now not just one person has the advantage of this new idea or this new process. Everybody at one time has the ability to use and access that knowledge when they need it. And I'll take you back to 1999, you know, the Matrix. You know, you download that information. That's what we're doing here, but we're not downloading it to a brain. We're downloading it to the central box, the single source of truth, and then everybody accesses that single source of truth. And it benefits everybody across the board. Now, as far as the process to, as we add you know, a new idea in January and another idea in June, one in November, the accumulation of those ideas, it's a simple process because on the back end of things, the number crunchers, that business intelligence is identifying how long something takes. It's identifying the intent of the human. Did it sound like they were frustrated? Did it sound like they were happy? And it's taking all this data and it's serving it up in these cool dashboards that are set up for the humans that are in the loop to say, oh, wait a minute, hey, we got something forming right here. Let's look into that. Oh, that's working. Let's approve that and spread it out throughout the network. And in the same way that engineers do today, engineers validate processes for the line, and it's the workers, the frontline workers, and the tradesmen that actually do the work. It's the engineers that implement that, and then higher above that, you have system engineers that look at the higher level. And so everybody is still layered in. There is still that those gates that people have to put ideas through to qualify them. So it's simplified. It's made to look at much more data, but it serves it up to the humans so they can make better decisions and quicker decisions because all this data is handed to them on the silver platter.
Okay, so let's say someone is going to grab a whole bunch of screws that they need to use to assemble this part. And so they tap their ear and say, hey, how many screws do I need and what size are they? How many should I grab right there? And it would just spit out that answer and tell you what it is. Or is that kind of what it would do in a simple version?
Well, in absence of easier things and process, yeah, that's exactly what it does. And it's our brains work great for processes. Our brains are not so good at remembering specifics, and it could be size of screw, number of screws. It could be a part number if they let's say if a crank shaft needs replaced on a production line. Hey, while I'm out here, this is production line one, what's the part number for that? And then it could give the part number and you can just tap and call it into your radio. Hey, I'm coming into the shop to pick up this part number, have it ready so I can grab it and come out here and replace it. So yeah, specifics is, pardon me, specifics is really where it accelerates. But it's that's more just like the tool function. It's that thinking with the human, and it might be like Is that the right crank? Or are you sure that that crank needs replaced? Those are the questions a mentor would ask in the same process. So yeah, it is just like that. Anything that you would do if you didn't have the knowledge handy and you wanted to ask somebody and to confirm that, that's exactly what you do. You just press your earbud and say, hey, what number of screws and what size, and it would walk you through, just like you would call up your manager or a journeyman apprentice scenario. An apprentice might call a journeyman over, and which is great when the human is available. But we're working here and serving up to democratize this information so it's available to everybody at all times. So you don't have to pull somebody out of bed sometimes at 2 a.m. just to get an answer from you.
So is there a video component with this too?
No, it's we keep it as simple as possible, just like Google.com does. It's a simple one thing. We leverage just like you would in a human mentor. They would say, "Hey, do you have that schematic handy? Okay, look at page 2 on the schematic." Or you might have some process map visuals if you're in a scenario that has all these, basic how-tos up on the side of the wall or on the side of a machine that walk you through. It augments the knowledge that's already there, but it does one thing and it does one thing best, and that's communicate as a human would communicate in a mentor protege relationship.
So, okay, let's say you need to find where the screw goes and it's on top of the object, and you're looking sort of at the front of it, and you say, "Oh, I see this. I'm looking at the front part, and there's sort of a square side of it, and it looks like there's, only one hole, and I have four screws. Like, what part of it is this?" And so, like, where should I be looking? Would it be something like that someone could ask, and they'll go, "Oh, you need to, look up on top. You're looking at the front of it right now, and there should be four dots right there, four holes."
Yeah, absolutely. We call them an industry subject matter experts, and if it this is where Pocket Mentor helps onboard workers and get them to production readiness sooner rather than later and more safely. Is questions just like that, and that's how we learn as people, right?
Right.
I like to say that our company is based on technology that's 50,000 years old because we teach our AI the same way that humans have taught each other for millennia here. It's ask a question, tell a story. Ask a question, tell a story. So if you were the expert here and I'm the that new person out on the machine, and I say, hey Rusty, I'm here at the top of the machine. I only see room for one bolt to go in. And then you would say, "Oh, did you look at that dust cover on the back? Make sure you lift that up. You'll see the other three." And I go, "Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, I see it here. Thank you."
Yeah.
Communication just in time, and again, it's without waking those humans up, getting them out of bed at 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
Right. And I mean, I assume it would be a lot better relationship with the people in charge of whoever's the next one down the line, would be that there's not a lot of redundancies. Like, I can say for me working at jobs, how many times I had to ask the same question because I'd forget or I didn't know, or I'd just fuck it up. And I learned, but I think that would take a lot of the time off for the next person up, the manager or supervisor or whatever, to be able to work on what they should actually be working on, and that would actually make the flow better for everyone. And so is everyone then on the same earpiece then throughout the day, or is it like, can just be like, you touch it once, you're in the chat, and then touch it twice, you're talking with someone else in there, or is it just everyone wears headphones all day, or how's that work? That was like
Well,
six
it's up.
questions.
Bam, bam, bam. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's up to that role, and it's up to the need, and it's up to the knowledge of that human. So what we see a lot, and when I was at Amazon, we would call hiring somebody new, we'd call throw them into the deep end of the pool. and we just let them sink or swim on their own. If they're capable to swim on their own, hey, we're going to keep them. But we found out that we were losing 89% of our employees every year
Well,
because only about 1 out of 10 could actually figure things out on their own. So what that does, it costs the company more money because now you're hiring much more, um, a bigger workforce to cover, what a small workforce is all you really need if they stick around. And for the employee, uh, there's employees out there, and I'll raise my hand. I'm slow to learn something, but once I learn something, it stays with me, and then I get to a point. My superpower is I know it better than anybody out there. So
same.
what happens when I'm here walking around or climbing over a machine trying to put it together and I'm new on the job? And new on the job could be day one, it could be week one or month one, or for a lot of us, maybe even year one. It just takes longer for us to learn. And we penalize or we get penalized in life if we don't learn as quick as the quickest person out there. So in this scenario, it allows the individual to um, have that safety net, that support system. So instead of calling, and this ties into, the other part of the question, it ties into a manager or a supervisor that is the one that hired that worker to do the work. Instead of them doing their job, managing administrative paperwork, yada yada, they're a babysitter, and so now they're going to be a babysitter, and it's frustrating for everybody because they don't want to babysit, and they're watching not just one person, but maybe 5 or 10 at a time that are new to the job and don't do it quite as well as they do because they're the experts. We have this halo effect in the world. It's when somebody does something well, let's rise them to the level and make them managers. And so they actually stop doing the work, but now they oversee other people. And it's ironic that we do that because now you have a manager wanting all their workers to be as good as they are when that's never going to happen, not in that model. So when we bring in a pocket mentor, tap to get the answer, it's allows the individual, the worker, to one, to ask those questions that are stupid. Maybe they are stupid, but they're only stupid if you already know the answer. If you don't know the answer, then it's just revealing that you're ignorant, you don't know the answer, and that's okay. Ignorance is something we can overcome. And for an individual that's trying to look good on day one, that's already been fired from the 3 previous jobs because they didn't learn fast enough, tapping this computer to talk and get the answer allows that person to be productive and get the job done, and and really do what they're getting paid to do up to a point where now they're naturally self-sufficient, that they might become that company's longest tenured employee. They might become rise to the top, but only because they were given a chance, because they got past that first awkward moment of, can I do it right the first time? That's a lot of pressure to put employees on, and we face that all the time. Those of us that's had more than a few jobs in life. And to on the backside of that question, you ask, what about the managers, supervisors? Yeah, managers, supervisors, they generally pay them salary because they work more than 8 hours a shift. They work 12, 14, 16 hours, and that's what makes them ornery because they're tired. So if they can actually do what they need to do during the day, think like a human, think outside the box, grow, adapt, they can introduce newer procedures and really create and do what they get paid to do, which is the administrative and the leadership skills. Babysitting isn't leadership. So when we separate those out, everybody's more happy and the company benefits. So you've got the worker, the manager, and the company. That's that win-win-win scenario that I like to see.
So what does that turn meetings into for them? Like if there are meetings before and the meetings after implementing what you're putting out. So like, let's say they're in, I don't, I guess anyone, like, I guess they have meetings for something. I guess the meetings, would they be different? Would they be focused on other things than what they would be before?
Well, they're happier meetings. We look at KPIs, those key production indicators, and so the meetings still happen, and their numbers are different. So attrition rates go down. Attrition rate is when it's that turnover rate because you're going through 10 employees just to find one good one, right? I'm using air quotes here on the
Yeah,
podcast. Yeah, that one good one because we only know how to train one way. But when we can train one size fits one, then we increase the odds that we're going to keep the employees that we have. So that number looks better for accounting. It Employees that have longer tenure, they produce better, so that makes the operations side happier. So their operations is producing more. There's less downtime on the skilled trades maintenance side of things. So the skilled trade numbers look better. There's things called OEE that many manufacturing and industries follow. That's the overall equipment effectiveness, and that's specific numbers that just from those basic OEE numbers, you can tell how well a company is doing. And it's not any one thing. What's really important is how the company is doing overall. The OEE numbers don't address specific attrition rates or how long it takes to train somebody or how many employees you have. It just measures production over time and empirically. And all those things that we're talking about solving with knowledge help support and grow the OEE. It grows production and it grows a happier workforce. So the meetings still happen, and meetings happen every day to say how the shift go. It's communication. That's
sure.
what meetings are for, communication. So they're just communicating, happier numbers.
Yeah, and I mean that's a completely different meeting than what other people would expect a meeting to be, which is something that is pretty novel in a lot of the work today. And so could it be a one-on-one mentorship, apprenticeship that you could work with somebody? Like if um or I mean like let's say let's say someone, I don't know what they do. I don't know. I probably end up giving away one of my ideas here. But they have this one way that they do better than anybody, and they're 117 years old, and they're going to probably die in 4 days. And they say, "Hey, I want to meet up with Derek. I want to be able to get this out to someone. I want somebody to be able to do this so it doesn't die with me." Um, could that be something that could be done? Very hypothetically, I don't know any 107-year-old people yet, so yeah.
Yeah, it actually is. We just document it, and there's documenting the old way, which is keyboard and fingers, but we also document through audio, and, and we follow the scenario, the procedure. Is it an artist? Is it a painter, a sculptor? Is it an engineer? And people already do this. Prior to deathbed scenarios, we have people that write books because they want that knowledge to get out there. And whether books, we convert into audio, call them audio books. So that's another way to learn. And from somebody's books, trainings are developed. So now that we put LMS information that's out there. And so what we do with Pocket Mentor, we access all that information. We just provide a, a user interface that adapts to the individual. So I could pick up a book, and if I want to answer a question and I know the answers in that book, I'm going to go through 188 pages of that book, and hopefully I recognize the answer when I see it. That takes a while. So with Pocket Mentor, we digest that book and all the knowledge, all the notes of that individual before they pass on, before they retire. Um, and we put it in an accessible way so everybody has access to asking that expert without ringing their doorbell and talking to them in person. It's taking that knowledge. So yeah, that's a very real scenario that you mentioned.
Cool. All right. And so, how are people going to work with you? How do they find you? How does that all work?
Hey, I got to use this. I'm in Indiana. Indiana college football is having a good year this year. So if
Oh,
anybody
nice.
follows college football, they might be familiar with the phrase "Google me." And
Or
so
Ice
yeah,
Cube.
yeah, Google me. You can pull me up on LinkedIn. My company is practicalai.app. That's just like it sounds, .app, practicalai.app. And I've got a book out that I believe so strongly in the human first movement. If you go to humanfirstai.net, then you can read the first chapter of my book that's going to be released here in January of this upcoming 2026.
Excellent. Well, yeah. Thank you so much for being on, and appreciate the talk. And didn't know what we were going to talk about, and we got to talk about what we talked about, and I like that. So, thanks again, and hope you have a great rest of your day. And
I like it too, Rusty. Thank you so much.
yeah, you bet. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Derek Crager. Find him on Google him. As Ice Cube says, Google me, bitch. So don't forget that, and don't forget to get a hold of him. So thank you everybody so much for being here on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. Buy my books at find whatever everything rustydiamond.net, rustydiamond.net, hypnosisisgreat.com, worldclasscustoms.com, facebook.com/Union Bridge Yoga. There's other shit. Just go to rustydiamond.net. That's all you got to do. So thank you, everybody. And that is the show, man. Boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.